The City Council Committee on Ordinances, Licenses, and Legal Affairs, co-posted with the Committee of the Whole, will meet in person on Thursday, June 8th, 2023 at 6:30 p.m. for the purpose of discussing seaworm licenses, ordinance to amend Chapter 46, Section 230 relative to sewer use charges, and an ordinance to amend Ordinance Chapter 46, Section 66 relative to water rates, ordinance to amend Ordinance for Chapter 36, Sections 6 and 8 for solid waste fees. The meeting will be held in City Council Chambers, 93 Washington Street, Salem, Mass., second floor. Individuals may listen, view, or participate remotely in the meeting via a remote participation platform called Zoom through either of the following ways. Please click on the link found in the agenda, password 043129, or telephone 877-853-5257 or 888-475-4499. Every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. In the event that we are unable to do so on matters not requiring a public hearing, we will post on the City of Salem's website an audio or video recording, transcript, or other comprehensive record of proceedings as soon as possible after the meeting. The City Council Committee on Ordinances, Licenses, and Legal Affairs, co-posted with the Committee of the Whole, met in Council Chambers on June 8th, 2023 at 6:30 p.m. 6:39 p.m. for the purpose of discussing the matters listed below. Notice of this meeting was posted on June 6th, 2023 at 9:59 a.m. Members of OLA, everyone is here. We also have with us Anna Friedman from Finance. We are going to start by getting the seaworms out of the way. Let's see. Okay, so tonight we have two seaworm licenses for Paul Lynch of 28 Anawan Ave in Saugus, and for Timothy Lynch, same address. And they have all been approved. So I will take a motion. Councilor Varela.
Thank you, Chair Marcello. I move that we grant the seaworm licenses to Mr. Paul Lynch and Mr. Tim Lynch.
Second.
So Councilor Varela moves to refer this back to the committee with a recommendation for approval, seconded by Councilor Dominguez. All those in favor? All those opposed? The matter carries 5-0. And now we have the sewer. I guess we're going to start with the sewer use charges. And so, hold on a minute. Okay, so the ordinance amendment in front of us is to change the residential per 100 cubic feet to $4.06, the non-residential to $5.49, and then in section E it says the minimum rate for residential metered water for each quarter shall be $40.60 per 1,000 cubic feet, effective July 1st, 2023. And that's just multiplying the residential rate by 10, correct?
Yes, Madam Chair, I believe I have those as the water.
Oh, yep, you're right.
Oh,
you're right.
Start with water.
That's the way I had them. Okay, so sewer. Okay, so sewer is, let me see, $7.81, right? $7.81 per 100 cubic feet. Non-residential per 100 cubic feet is $11.83. And then the non-residential per 100 cubic feet for 25,000 cubic feet or greater per month is $15.15. Ms. Friedman.
Just to give folks some background on the rate adjustments for this year, as they are a little bit different than the past couple of years. The sewer rate proposal is an increase of 3% over last year. But this was informed, and also when the water rates are discussed, the water rates were also informed by a water sewer rate study that the city undertook over the last several months with a consultant after we issued an RFP. Through that rate study, we looked at all of the critical infrastructure investments that needed to be made both in the near term and in over the next several years, and determined that those were substantial investments that needed to occur. And so wanted to look at a rate structure that would allow for affording those investments in a way that didn't cause any sort of drastic spike one year over the other in a rate. And so the rate proposals tonight are attempting to accommodate the investments that are currently proposed to maintain our infrastructure. And additionally, one other element, the water and sewer fund, they're technically separate funds for, they're technically the same fund for reporting purposes. So what has been happening over the past couple of years is that the water rates have been a little bit suppressed while the sewer rates have been going up. And so the sewer element in the sewer rates, the component of the fund, have been subsidizing the water expenditures. And so the rate structure that is in front of the committee tonight is intended to provide more equitability by ensuring that the costs and the revenues are more aligned with the expenditures for maintaining the various infrastructure for water and sewer. And so the proposal overall between the water and the sewer rates will be about 4.9%. The sewer increases at 3%, and then when water is up next, that is looking at a higher increase of 9% in order to remedy that internal structure that we talked about to make it more equitable, and then collectively the increase of 4.9% across both of the rates in order to afford the capital improvement plans that the department is identifying as a need for the city.
Okay, and I will say, just so that the counselors know, this is an increase of 23 cents per 100 cubic feet for residential. It's an increase of 35 cents per 100 cubic feet for non-residential, and an increase of 45 cents for the larger non-residential rate, correct?
Correct.
And how does that come out, like, historically?
So historically, in terms of more recently, we've seen anywhere from last year was 2.35% increases. The year before was 3.89%. The year before that was 3.2%. So consistent in terms of the percentages. The exact decimals were likely also somewhat similar. As the denominator is getting bigger, that's getting a little bit bigger. But those have been fairly consistent for sewer rates over the past several years, although there was a larger increase back in 2019 that was between 9 and 15%, depending on the various categories. So since then, they've been more stable in the 3% range. And so continuing that for this year as well, looking at for FY24 as well.
Okay, yeah, this is a 3% raise, you said. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Councilor Cohen.
Thank you, Chair Marcello. I move that we accept the rate adjustments and with a positive recommendation to the full council.
Okay. So this is hold on a minute. This is a motion to refer this back to the council with a recommendation for first passage.
Oh, thank you.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Seconded by Councilor Varela. Okay, all those in favor? The motion carries 5-0. Okay, on to water rates, where I started. So again, this is a residential 100 cubic feet 406, non-residential 100 cubic feet 549, and then the minimum residential of $40.60 per 1,000 cubic feet. And again, this is an increase of 34 cents per 100 cubic feet, 45 cents per 100 cubic feet non-residential, and then $3.40 for the 1,000 cubic feet minimum rate. Correct?
Yes, correct. Thank you. In terms of comparisons, I don't have the exact decimals with me, but last year it was a 2.35% increase. Prior to that, it was 0.5%, just under 5% in 2020. The year before that was 4.5%. And then again in FY18, it was a 9 to 11% increase. So there is some history here in terms of water rates periodically needing to have a bit more of a bump up to keep pace with the needs for investments. I think one thing that is important to know, we did look at rate comparisons with other communities that we typically compare ourselves to, and even with the combined 4.9% increase for both the water and the sewer, Salem still is at the bottom in terms of those other communities: Beverly, Chelsea, Danvers, Gloucester, Lynn, Marblehead, Revere, and Swampscott. The only outlier is Peabody, who currently still has lower rates. However, unfortunately, they did just, and this isn't any intent to be any critical of them in any way, but they did recently announce an upcoming 30% rate increase. So I imagine when that, I didn't have that data to calculate how that will now compare with Salem's rates, but it will likely make us more commensurate with where they are. So we are, these rate increases don't result in being out of line in any way with other communities. We're in fact still a bit below by a couple $100s in several cases with other communities nearby.
And you said that this was an increase of 9% for water?
9% for water, yes.
Okay. All right. Any questions? Councillor Cohen.
Thank you, Chair Marcillo. I move that we move the adjusted rate to the full council with a positive recommendation for first passage.
Second.
So Councillor Cohen moves to refer this to the council with a recommendation for first passage, seconded by Councillor Varela. All those in favor? Those opposed? The matter carries 5-0. And then finally, we have solid waste. This is the trash fee for non-resident owners of properties. All right, so just a reminder, if anyone does own any rental properties and is not living there, and this affects you. Okay, so for this one, it's amended to from $20.50 to $21.12, and then with a maximum of going from $130.25 to $134.16, correct?
Yes.
And these are monthly fees, correct?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So that is a difference of 62 cents in the monthly fee per unit. And then the maximum is a difference of $3.91. And that maximum comes out to between 6 and 7 units. It's over 6 units. So 7 units, you would hit that maximum.
Yeah. That's
Okay.
my understanding.
Yeah. Do you have anything else that you want to add to that?
Sure, it might just be helpful for the committee to be aware. The overall expenditures associated with the solid waste management fund increased just over $100,000. It's an approximately 2.55% increase. The rate increase that's proposed is 3%. It's why that's 3%, where costs are going up 2.55%, is a denominator dynamic where the general fund actually subsidizes over 76% of this fund. And so in order to keep the proportion between how much the rate covers and how much the general fund subsidizes, a 3% rate increase was needed to maintain that same proportion in terms of what's on ratepayers and what's on the tax base.
Okay. Any questions? Councillor Hopworth.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Not being a member of the committee, through you to Anna. Are there other? So I guess I've had an issue with this in that it appears that rental properties are paying a fee that homeowners are not paying, and ultimately those past costs are potentially getting passed on to tenants. Is there a logical reason why we do these this way? I spoke with the previous city engineer, and he seemed to think we were a little bit of an outlier in the region. Is that? Do you have any knowledge of that? Are there other communities that charge renters and rental properties and not homeowners?
I would have to research that. I unfortunately, off the top of my head, couldn't speak to any specifically, but can certainly get back to you on that with some more details.
How is this number calculated? Is it something that if we were to, as a council, if we were to decide that we wanted to change the way that we do this, would it be a fee that we pass along to everybody, or would it just come out of the general fund?
It would totally depend on the council's determination how it would like to afford any change. And so if, I guess on one hand or the other, so if there was a change to either increase fees or determine that more burden should fall on the ratepayers, that could decrease the amount that the general fund is picking up and that taxpayers would be paying. If there's a desire to reduce the fees that are being paid on the ratepayer side, then that the general fund would need to accommodate picking up those costs in some manner. So it would be entirely dependent on what scenarios would be envisioned. I mean, we could certainly look at some options, potentially looking forward to the future. I could speak to Mayor Pangalo about that to get his feedback.
Not asking necessarily to give your personal opinion on this, but is there a logical reason why this is done this way? Is there I've always struggled with just being able to explain this because I can't see a logical reason why we have done this way other than to make homeowners happy, which is great, but then the renters is it a situation where homeowners are paying certain taxes that renters are not, or what? If you don't have an answer, that's okay. Just curious.
I'm not fully aware of the history around how the structure was initially envisioned and sort of what policy goals it was seeking to achieve. I think the understanding that I've developed in my time here is that to the note that you just made about homeowners, they're paying taxes and that through those taxes anticipating that the solid waste would be part of the taxes that they're paying. And I'm not entirely sure about the carve out related to the particular class that's sort of designated for the fees. I'm unfortunately not aware of the specific policy choice behind that.
How vital is it that it is passed tonight?
I believe it is vital that it is passed tonight so that it can be in effect I believe it is as of July 1st. I would need to check to see when there would need to be enough time to program in the system to accommodate any rate changes. And if the rate changes were did not go into effect, we could end up with a potential deficit in the fund if the rates weren't being collected as envisioned by the order.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Cohen?
Thank you, Chair Marcillo. So I respectfully disagree with at-large councillor for this reason. I was the first recycling or trash reduction coordinator, and some of the biggest problems we have were properties owned by absentee landlords. That's not the entire reason that we're doing this, but I did regularly meet with landlords. We used to have a landlord association in Salem, and my opinion, being a owner-occupied landlord myself, is that most renters have leases, and because they have leases, the idea that this would be passed on to a renter, I think is somewhat of a false concept, because most landlords that I've talked to charge what they think they can get, what the market can bear, or if they decide that they want to have more beneficial rents, as I try to do with my tenants, they don't, line item the renter that I'm raising your rent $21.60 because of the trash fee. So I feel like the one thing I do agree about is this may not be the best way to, balance funding for the trash, but I'm not sure that I agree that the burden falls to the renter. I believe that in general, landlords, if they can get, whatever they can get, they get it. They don't necessarily calculate everything. If they can get $2,500 for a two-bedroom, they'll do it. They're not going to say it was $2,475 and now it can increase it to $2,500. So just my opinion.
Thank you. Anyone else? Councillor Hopworth.
Last
I also
time.
want to say,
Last time.
okay, we're not going to debate this.
Sure.
It is. We can change the ordinance if we want. You can
Yeah,
bring in an
and
order to change it.
I'll just add that I hope that at some
Yeah.
I hope that at some point we take a look at this and change this, because I think it's we cannot argue that this cost is not getting passed on, that an owner is just absorbing this cost. That it is getting passed on in some form or fashion, and this doesn't make logical sense the way that we have this laid out. And if I could understand why, then I'd be happy to continue to support it, but I still have questions about it. But thank you.
Okay, thank you. I will take a motion. Councillor Cohen.
Thank you, Chair Marcillo. I move that we refer this with a positive recommendation to the full council for first passage.
Seconded by Councillor Prosnowski. So Councillor Cohen moves to refer this to the committee with a recommendation for first passage, seconded by Councillor Prosnowski. All those in favor? No? All those opposed? Motion carries 4-1. I will take another motion. Counselor Varela.
Thank you, Chair Marcelo. Motion to adjourn.
Counselor Varela moves to adjourn. All those in favor? All those opposed? The matter carries.